So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Roma Theory as we have it has been very significant latest hours just because some very big sources have touched on a link between Roma and Luka Modric. And the first thing which I want to do in this live stream is speak about these sources, who these sources are and what these sources say. There have been two sources, very big sources in the country of Italy, which have confirmed that there have been links between Modric and Roma. The first one is basically a national broadcast. It's a radio, and in this radio, who speaks are players, ex-players, ex-Serie A players. A lot of the people who speak in this radio, which is very interesting, are ex-Roma players, which people who have been around Roma, who know the Roma environment, and might know things that the public doesn't know, and it's a radio. It's a national broadcast. It's called radio in Italy, radio if you want to translate it. And then the biggest source, which has linked on what this broadcast has said, is the national newspaper. Now this is significant because the national newspaper has mentioned this. The national newspaper called La Repubblica has made an entire article about this link, and obviously the first thing which I want to do, which I want to show you guys and tell you guys, is what these sources say. Starting with the radio broadcast, which said, "Another blow for Mourinho, as reported today by the microphones of Radio, Luka Modric could become a Roma player for next season. It is obvious that Mourinho's interest in the Real Madrid midfielder, who has a contract expiring in June 2023 and could arrive in the capital of Italy on a free transfer. The relationship with the Portuguese coach is excellent, and despite his age of 37 years old, he could make the difference in the giallorossi midfield." So yeah, we have a very important, significant thing here, which is the relationship with Jose, and we'll touch on to this in a couple of minutes. But the second source, because as I said before, this is not a single source. It's multiple sources which are kind of linking on each other. So the second source, which is the national newspaper, is kind of touching on what the broadcast said. And it says, radio, which it's radio, but you know, confirms that the Croatian's agent, which is the same agent as Matic and Tahirovic, which are both Roma players, would have contacted Mourinho to talk about a possible transfer in the summer. Modric, 37 years old, is a Real Madrid player. He is an Ancelotti lad. The Blancos would have decided not to renew his contract, and from the 30th of June 2023, he would be on a free transfer. Roma could take advantage of it to reinforce the midfield department. Now, it's a ordeal. We can't hide the fact that this is complicated to actually see it happen, but it is also true that big sources have said this. Now, people are saying that Roma Press has said this. Roma Press is not the source which has started this. Roma Press is doing exactly what I'm doing here. They are speaking about other sources about this. So the sources which have initialized this discussion are way more reliable than Roma Press. It's the national newspaper. And when I mean national newspaper, it's La Repubblica. It's called The Republic. It's national newspaper and a national radio broadcast which have spread this. Now, what you read on Roma Press is exactly what you're being told by me. Roma Press have not started this. Roma Press are not the ones who are getting this information. Roma Press are simply doing what I'm doing here. They're collecting information from big sources, because national newspaper and national radios which are saying this means that there is effectively something behind the scenes, and reporting it to Roma fans. So this has not been spreaded by Roma Press. It has been spreaded by national newspapers and national radio broadcasts. Let's remain on this Modric situation, because as I was saying, I mean, we can't hide the fact that it's really hard for it to happen. But obviously, we have a few sides on our favor. And I think the biggest side on our favor is something which, in fact, the broadcast has mentioned, which is the excellent relationship between Jose and Luka Modric. This is what, it's kind of the light underneath the tunnel. One of the key factors which could make this happen is the good relations between the two sides. Jose's relationship with Luka Modric has been described as excellent. That is very significant. Now, the second thing which is very significant is the fact that he's a free agent. Now, and there is a pattern of, our ownership looking at free agents, and especially trying to exploit big players and not spending too much money on it. Because this is strategic. We won't be the only ones interested on Modric. We could be in the race to sign Modric. However, obviously, we aren't an oil merchant side. We don't have a limited amount of money. Therefore, when you see big players linked with Roma, most of these big players are free agents. And it kind of links to the fact that we cannot be spending 99% of our budget on on one single player. And that's kind of the spirit of these kind of teams, which aren't PSG, Real Madrid, Man United. We are a team which, yes, shows interest in big players. It is hard for us to get big players, therefore we have to find strategies to buy big players. And this is exactly why we're seeing a lot of free agents, big free agent names linked with us. Now, another thing is to talk about, which is it's the thing which kind of which you look at it and you're like, right, at the end of the day, no, I don't expect anything spectacular. And you look at the wages Modric gets and it's massive. It is absolutely massive. Modric right now at Real Madrid gets around 20 million euros as a salary. That's a lot. And it would be a lie for Thiago Pinto to say that is not outside of our budget when it comes to salaries. It is true that we've got players in this team, such as Dybala, such as our manager ourselves, which earn a lot of money, but obviously the amount of salaries which Modric earns is significant. It is a lot. It's definitely outside of our budget, but I think Dybala's salaries were outside of the budget as well. Now, what happened with Dybala is something which kind of gives hopes when it comes to this deal, which is calling him, putting pressure on him, describing the project and the ambitions to him. And if he's very into the project, he will acknowledge the fact that Roma cannot be spending 20 million euros on salaries on just one single player. And therefore, just like Gini did, will lower his wages and make it simpler to potentially buy him. It's hard, but it's promising. And in fact, I'll be honest with you, this has been more promising than many other deals that we've been speaking about in these past couple of weeks. Why do I say this? I say this because these are big sources. Now, these are very big sources which are saying this. I just want to repeat, if in case people missed it, in case people just joined, this source has been mentioned by a national radio broadcast and at the same time by a national newspaper. Now, I know it's still very hard to believe, but when you speak about big sources, when you speak about national newspapers, if national newspapers start spreading fake news on their own newspapers, it gives a bad image to the country. Now, and this is why it's different when news are spread around national newspapers, national broadcasts, and just on a random Google article. Because when you read things on national things, you have responsibility. And La Repubblica is the most known newspaper in the country of Italy. This is what I think gives hopes to this. And I just think it's hard. Do I think Modric will come? I don't think Modric will come. But it is, it's kind of, it'd be wrong to say that the sources which have mentioned this are unreliable sources. That's what I'm trying to say. In fact, I'd say that these are very reliable sources. Now, speaking about Modric himself, which is, it's what people are interested at the end of the day. I am hearing a lot of people who say, 37 years old, oh yeah, it would be his end of career journey at Roma if it was to happen and all of that. Yes, his age is unpromising, but Modric at 37 years old is the best midfielder in the world right now. And I think Modric is better than De Bruyne. Call me mad for this. But the class, the prestige which Modric puts in a football game is something which I think for the next 20 years of football will be untouched. And yes, his age isn't promising because it means that for any club which he signs, if it is Roma, if it's not Roma, his contract will be a 1/2 year contract and then that's it with his football career. But it is also significant because at 37 years old, Modric is, if not the best midfielder in the world, easily top 3 midfielders in the world. And that is something to say. And I just think if it was to happen, if our dreams were to come to reality, seeing both Dybala and Modric on the same football pitch would really give you a perspective of the amount of class that we're starting to evolve into. But again, it's just news as of now. And there's nothing more than just a simple link. Therefore, it's very early to start imagining things because what happens? What starts happening if we start imagining these things is that when it actually doesn't happen, we'll be upset about it. I'm inviting everyone here. I'm inviting myself here to not be too promised about this situation. Just because the bigger chance of it not happening will then make you upset. This is a rumor. This is a news. This is just a simple link. It has been said by reliable sources, in my opinion. You can think whatever you want about national things, but I do think it is coming from reliable sources. But as of now, we have absolutely anything. Therefore, this is a message to everyone here. This is a message to myself here. Stop dreaming about Modric playing for your club until the day, hypothetical day, he signs for Roma. And again, that's my message. Don't get too carried away with all of the, and not just Modric, these big names which have been linked with Roma. Because yes, it is true that this summer there will be a big name, but obviously there won't be a limited amount of big names joining Roma. So, keep your temper, keep calm, because, this is just a simple rumor. But as a fan channel, I have the responsibility to speak about everything which is linked to Roma on a daily basis. Now, one last thing which I want to touch on is the schedule of our Portugal tour in about, today is the 7th of December. We leave, if I'm not wrong, the 15th of, so in about 1 week, the team will be flying to Portugal. And we'll be training just like we did in Japan, but I think it will be more intensified. I think it will be more focused on the game. We will play several friendly games. The first one has been announced today. In fact, just a few information. This Portugal tour will last from the 15th of December to the 22nd of December to then come back in Rome for Christmas. And the first friendly match has been officialized today. It will be Friday the 16th of December at 7 p.m. Portuguese time against Cadiz, which is a Spanish team. So that will be interesting to see. That will be interesting for some players. Looking in particular at players like Tammy, who need to get back scoring goals, who need to get back living the best of moments and all of that. So we'll definitely keep coverage of these games over the course of this Portugal tour. One very important thing to speak about this Portugal tour, which is very significant, it is very big news. I can officially say that Gini Wijnaldum will leave with the team for Portugal. This is massive news because it means his recovery is going to plan. It means his recovery is going exceptionally well. And Gini Wijnaldum confirmed in the last couple of hours will be leaving with the team in Portugal. Now, don't expect Gini to even be on the bench. On the bench. Don't expect Gini to even get subbed in for 2 minutes in these friendly games. The only purpose for Gini to get to Portugal with the team is to get readapted with the team. He has gone through a lot, and he has gone through a lot of isolation. Now, what do I mean? Not that he has any massive deadly disease that he has to solitary confine, but he has been training by himself for the entire season. And this is a good chance for him, kind of like a new signing, to get to know the players even better, to get to know the players to start learning Mourinho's tactics, to adapt with his teammates and all of that. And this is massive news because we will see Gini flying to Portugal, who will be on the same plane as the other lads. Let me read some comments and then I will indeed end the stream. People getting hyped already, I can tell. Don't get hyped, please don't get hyped, because you'll be upset if this doesn't happen. Just like people were speaking about a very close link between Ronaldo and Roma last summer, I hyped myself too much and then it didn't happen. And I was actually mad. I absolutely love how, because of Jose effects, top stars are interested in coming to Roma. Modric, Depay, Kante, all interested. It's incredible news. Modric is, after Zidane, the best midfielder ever. Very big statement and very good analysis from Eddie. Fredkins, Pinto and Jose are transforming Roma. He's legendary, but still 37. Zero chance of this one happening. I don't criticize that. It's going to be hard to see it. But again, as a famous man once said, dreaming is free. Apart from being good in attack and defending, he just doesn't give the ball away easily. Not that Modric starts scoring own goals, that's for sure. 37, but I still think he can rock Sarah for one more season. I'm loving these big names being linked to Roma. I agree, Simon. Modric is the best midfielder in the world, and he was and is still better than Kevin De Bruyne. Just sell Pellegrini no matter what, weak player. And I think, again, when it comes to buying these names, we should avoid buying one and sell one. Because the stronger the team, the more we compete. Don't get me wrong, if we get Modric and sell Pellegrini, we get something from it. But I would rather we get Modric and keep Pellegrini, because that means you're slowly building. If every time we buy a big player, we sell another one, it is a process of increasing, but it's never a full exponential growth. It's always like tumbling back down. So when it comes to these big names, I would love for them to come to Roma, but I would also in return hope that none of our players leave Roma, if you see what I mean. During an era of CR7 and Messi being named the Ballon d'Or to midfielder is no joke. Kante is the midfielder we should get. Kante is realistic, right, Simon? Kante is another free agent. We're speaking about the same situation with Modric. However, he's younger. It could be argued that he's even more injury prone, that 37-year-old Modric, but I actually think out of the two, Kante would be easier, just because Kante earns less than Modric. But, both are free agents. I don't know. I really don't know. But, I'm actually controversial here. And people disagree with me. If I had to choose between free agent Modric and free agent Kante, I'd go free agent Kante. Call me crazy, I think Modric is the best midfielder in the world, but I'm saying this because Kante is my favorite player. So seeing Kante in my own team is a dream come true. But I just think Roma needs someone with more personality, and Kante has got personality. again, I'd love for any of the two to come, but if I had to choose, I think I'd just slightly go with Kante, just a little eeny bit on top of Modric, but still, I'd love any of the two. I mean, I'd love any of these grand scale players. Modric is coming. Foxy Statics Lixie is convinced about that. So happy Gini will be with the team in Portugal. Gini will help our midfielder so much, even if he doesn't get to 100% in his first month back. It will help our possession and creativity still. I think Mourinho was the one that brought him to Real Madrid, and that's why the relations between him and Modric are excellent. Mourinho and Fredkins will change Roma like no one did. Roma is the Tottenham of Serie A, big ambitions and no money, says Dan. Pellegrini is not a big player. Amir Ba. I agree, but Pellegrini is the captain. And I know that, and I mean, the image of a captain in Italian teams is very significant. Is very significant. And I'm truly not just saying this because I'm a Roma fan. The fact that Pellegrini is a captain means that he's kind of got a bubble around him. And, you know, this is fact. Any team in this area, any team in the Italian country which has a captain kind of views the captain as a prestigious element in the team. That's just how it works in the country. You know, even if Vigna would be the captain, Vigna would still have the same effect. Vigna, no one would want Vigna to leave. It's as simple as that. Right, ladies and gentlemen, big news today coming from very reliable sources. But again, it's going to be hard. It's just a rumor. Don't get overhyped. I don't want anyone here to be upset if it doesn't happen. So just refrain. It's a step-by-step. And yeah. But we'll see what happens. We'll see how the situation evolves. If you haven't already, please make sure to smash that subscribe button and smash the like button in this video, and share the link of my channel with your families and friends. If they're interested in Roma, interested in the club, interested in the players, interested in the manager, get them over here, especially if they don't speak Italian. Yeah, smash that like button, turn the bell notifications on, and in a few days, maybe next week, I'll be announcing the first giveaway, Christmas giveaway, on the Roma Theory channel. So stay tuned, you do not want to miss it, because you could actually win something very big. Right, I'll catch you soon. Simon, out!